We are here. We are here. And pin that. Boom. We in here, y'all. Peace and love to you and your family. Let me bring everybody in. Boom. He was the first one here. That's funny how that works. We in here, y'all. We in here. Peace, my boy. I see him in there.
True Rock.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Here we go.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Mm-hmm.
You
get everybody else up in here. You was the first one in here. That's crazy how that worked. You got it.
Bro, I was just
I appreciate stuff
bro,
like that. I really do, man. I really appreciate that. Let me see. Let me add double R. You in here yet? Hold up. I'm like, oh boy, really can't come. That's crazy how that works. Though. You still gonna get it in, though. Still gonna get it in. Once everybody doing, I'm gonna do my introduction. Then we're gonna go into the topics. We just really gonna build and get familiar with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we.
Yeah. All right, put strong with it, bro.
Now I appreciate your work too. Like I love your page, stuff you be teaching. You really go in, so I really appreciate it.
Appreciate that, brother.
Appreciate that. Where they at? Where they at? Where they at? Peace and love to everybody in the comment section. We just waiting for the rest of the guests when we start. It's gonna be a power hour of us just going into various topics and just showing y'all what it means to come together. Because we talk about it all the time, but this time we actually, we're gonna do it for real. I've been waiting to do this event for the longest time. I swear, I've been really working. So.
Yeah, you've been putting in work for a minute, bro. I appreciate it too.
That's good to know somebody's out there watching.
Oh, of course.
I try my best.
Man, of course.
All right, boom. Renee's in here. And all right. Yeah.
Peace, my brother.
Peace.
Peace. How are you?
One more person. Where you at? Double up. Where you at? Wait. And then come on. Shout out to the family in the comments. They pouring in. We about to get it. I'm so excited for this. Like I actually really make this happen. That's crazy. Love and abundance. That's a fact. Yeah, bro.
Yes.
How y'all doing? How y'all
Big
feeling
love.
today?
I'm all right.
You good?
Yeah, I can't complain.
Yes.
It wouldn't do me no good.
Yeah. Oh, where you at? Come on. Yeah. Come on. In a minute, I'm gonna just have to start. And he might just tap in later. I'm gonna give him like two more minutes, and after that, we going in. All right.
Love and abundance, chosen one. What's up?
Is there anything y'all want to announce on y'all platform that y'all been doing before we start? Like stuff y'all got going on?
Sure.
You want to go, sis?
So for those of you, I know it's some of my people up in here, but for those of you who don't know me, I am Zenu Renee of Renee in Tune. So I am a tarot reader and astrologer, among many, many other things. But I am offering tarot readings and natal chart readings on my website, so you can go check that out if you want. I do, those of you who have been with me for a while, you know I've evolved into sidereal astrology, so I can do Western readings, but I am into the 13 signs. So if that's your thing and you want to get into that and you want to learn about yourself, your natal chart, your astrology, in the evolution of astronomy with the 13 sign involved, and that's my speed. That's what I like to do. Um, I'm hoping to, I won't say hoping because, you know, what good is that? I'm calling it in. I'm calling it in. You know, I put my first poetry book out on Amazon in August, right after my birthday, or on my birthday actually.
Oh, wow.
And that's a collection of old old poetry. So I called it 2014. It was kind of my way of just stepping out there and doing something I haven't done before. So I am looking to put my second poetry compilation out probably in the next month, and so that'll be on Amazon. That's newer stuff, so that's like, you know, me now, and my whole thought process these days. And then hope, you know, I'd like to get into, you know, some of you know I made a move 6 hours away, so I'd like to be getting into some spoken word, you know, shows and things out here for that. And once we get rolling, you know, I'd love to have y'all out here, come out here
100%.
and do some stuff. Yeah, get involved in the community. I'm learning my way around here now, but you can find all of my connections on my website. You can find a link to my book. Also Vela Stories. I started a story a little while ago. I gotta get more updates on there. But there's that's gonna be fun when it's a story about souls, the story between two souls and their journey through the cosmos, Iba and Edu. So it's gonna be just an ongoing, you know, updated story. There are episodes. I got one episode on there so far, so if you want to check that out, the link is on my site too.
Gotcha.
And
we all gonna be tapped into that stuff. We all gonna be tapped into everything you got going on.
Yeah.
Let's just get started though. He's not popping up, so he might pop up halfway in. So we're gonna get started, y'all. Okay. Peace and love to the universal family. This is the collective consciousness. All right. So I heard somebody in the comments asking, "What even is this?" Right. This is a group that I created, and the purpose of this group is to bring people in the conscious community together. That's literally the main purpose of this. You know, I've met a lot of people in this community, a lot of like-minded people who are very positive, very righteous. I'm like, why aren't we coming together? You know, you're saying some of the same stuff, teaching some of the same things. So we all talk about unity. You know, we need to come together, but I don't really see any type of movements doing that. You know what I'm saying? Not on a consistent basis. Like, we might have one group here, one group there, but it's like there's always this level of bias, or, you know, you have more followers, so I can't really talk to you, or you have little followers, so I can't really talk to you. So I'm trying to break those walls and just bring everybody together. You know, if you got the knowledge and you got the wisdom and the message and the platform, we bring everybody together to learn from each other. That's the point of this. All right, this is the collective consciousness. I truly believe we do have the answers to solve all the problems. They're just in different people. You know, I might have a puzzle, she might have a puzzle, he might have a puzzle. But we bring that together, we can make the whole picture. So that's the point of this, y'all. So let's get straight into it, y'all. I'm going to ask some questions, and also we're going to be asking questions of each other and really just building, all right? So I want to go into unity. That's really what I want to go into, y'all. But before we start, though, I'm your host, Clarkson, all right? I'm an author of my own book, and I also do music, I do podcasts, I do a few other things, right? I consider myself like a spiritualist in a way. Like, I'm really deep into spirituality. And today I have my 3, but at the moment only 2 amazing guests, okay? Everyone on this panel has impacted my life in a certain way to kind of like help me raise my level of consciousness, right? So I want them to introduce themselves real quick and briefly so y'all can kind of see their world, all right? So my brother Royal Tree here. Could you introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, appreciate it. It's your brother Royal Tree, also known as Wes Media. I support my platform, BSOA, Black Science of America, and we're here to push the line, man. Simple.
Wow. What's your name?
I am Zenu Renee from Renee in Tune, tarot reader, astrologer, And for those of you who have been with me for a minute, know that I consider myself a bridger of gaps, which kind of segues the topic, just kind of widening the scopes of perspective into a really cosmic view.
Yeah.
For
both of them are geniuses. Both of them, y'all. They're very genius. And I love that I have an interesting relationship with both of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? They really helped me level up on all levels, you know, y'all. So I'm really glad that I can actually do this. Like, this is amazing to me. I didn't think it would actually happen. I mean, I did. I'm not gonna lie. I was manifesting this for a long time. But like, I'm glad to be here. I really appreciate you guys for coming. Like, this is really big for me. All right. So we're gonna get straight into it. So my honest, like, I really feel like a lot of the problems we have, right? We always talk about the problems in the community, you know. You know, we don't love each other. We don't communicate, and that's one of the things I want to hone in on, and I want to get y'all personal perspective on that thing. Like, when it comes to unity in our people, and especially in the culture, a lot of the problems that we have can be solved by simply talking to each other. I honestly believe that. Like, we just talk to each other and actually have those conversations instead of just assuming based on, you know, the perception that we have of each other, we will be able to solve 99% of the problems we actually have today. What do y'all think about that?
Well, you and I have talked about this quite a few times in our history, and you know, Abraham Hicks always says the solution is in the solution is in the problem, or the answer is in the question. You know, and so when we're looking for solutions, we as human beings and people who are raised with perspective and concepts that come from outside of ourselves, we tend to view ourselves as separate from everything that we're trying to achieve. And so, you know, no one teaches us about how energy works and about how our energy works and how powerful we are and how magnetic we are, how electromagnetic we are. And so we don't realize how much of an impact we have on our personal experiences when we decide that this thing that I desire is over there and I can't, you know, reach it. It's over there and I'm over here, and there's this space between me and that thing. And so one of the things we tend to do in our attempts to find the solutions to our problems is we tend to focus on the thing that we don't want more. You know, because sometimes that's in our physical view. That's what we see. And so we get caught up in the physical. And, you know, I like to, we've talked about this before. This is like, I like to address it as the seesaw. You know, a lot of you have heard my spiel numerous times. I call this the seesaw. And this is where on my personal journey, I learned to find this place of neutrality, this place of understanding that there are many perspectives and that all these perspectives are reality because they've been manifested and created by those who believe in them. And we tend to just see things from the we've lived, you know what I mean? Wherever you grew up or whoever raised you and whatever they taught you, that's the viewpoint that you tend to look at everything that you're going through, or even the information that you're receiving. So when we're speaking to each other, you know, we hear each other, not necessarily from how the person that we're speaking to is relaying that information to us, but we hear each other from the perspective that we're coming from, which is where that seesaw comes in. And a lot of times we get to one end of the seesaw, and you know how that seesaw, it gets heavy and it drops, it falls. And then we find ourselves in a predicament once we experience that side of things, whatever issue it is that we're talking about. When we experience that side of things, then peace, love. Whenever we experience that side of things, then we start traveling to the other side of the seesaw, and we get to that other side of the seesaw, then things get heavy and we fall. And it isn't really until we get somewhere in the middle where we can find a balance of things and we can see how all those different perspectives come together, and we can see the picture a little bit more clearly. And so I would say the number one thing that keeps us from, you know, us as a people from unifying is that we are so against. And when I say against, I just mean against, period. We're against anything that doesn't align with our perspective, our personal perspectives. We find ourselves very against it and very anti it, to the point where we are combating it. And when we, what we don't realize is that how powerful we are, how energy works. When we are so deeply against or anti something, we attract so much more of it than what we
I couldn't
intend,
agree more.
because we're
Yeah.
throwing so much energy onto it, we're adding on it. And so we tend to attract more combat. We tend to attract people who trigger us. We tend to attract people who, you know, are gonna challenge our ideas, because that's the energy that we're placing into it. And so it's a little challenging to find harmony in relationships when we're not open to the other perspectives in the world, to the perspectives that other people are coming from, which I like to call the puzzle pieces.
I couldn't agree more. Before we continue, our third guest just tapped in. So everybody say peace be to God. He's here. He's here.
What's the word?
My God, bro. He gave me so much game just based off his teachings alone. So I want to really thank you for pulling up, God. Like this is big for me, for real.
You already know, bro. You already know, man. And I appreciate you because you always support me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna reciprocate that same love. But just to build on what Renee was saying, like I feel like one of the biggest things about us uniting has to do with just empathy and learning how to communicate with each other and really listen to each other. Because I feel like we have a lot of knowledge out here right now, but we're more so combating each other instead of trying to understand each other and find common grounds. Like whether we be from different religions or not, we still have to find a common ground. Whether we believe in this or we believe in that, we got to understand that we all in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we be in the same boat trying to figure out who gonna steer the ship, but the ship is sinking and we need to be trying to figure out how to get the water out of the boat. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that, honestly. I've seen the growth change just in my city alone. You know, I'm from Michigan and Detroit. Like the energy for a long time was dark, but now the energy is starting to change. People are starting to become more collective, starting to work together, and I feel like people are starting to realize like we literally are entering a new level of perspective. We entering a new paradigm. People starting to really wake up, and it's like before these type of conversations was not had often. You know what I'm saying? Most people wouldn't be talking about this, but it's becoming more and more and more prevalent that people have these conversations.
Real. So that's the barrier we need to break. Regardless of your background, we still need to be able to communicate with each other. That's something we all got. Okay.
Facts.
How you feel about that, Royal Tree? Have you ever seen that dynamic of people just not communicating strictly off their background? Would you agree that that's a border we need to cross?
Yeah, I do. I think for me, it's like more so understanding that traditional propaganda is real. Because like obviously we all know propaganda is a real thing, right? But traditional propaganda. So it's apparent to me that we are afraid of each other as so-called Black human beings. That there I could never understand for the life of me is because I think about all of the enemies that exist on this playing field, people that are trying to poison us physically and mentally, people that are trying to kill us and erase us off the face of this earth. I wonder, why do I look at my people in that way? But it goes back to that traditional propaganda. We've been taught to chase the successor that don't look like us. We've been taught to chase the franchise, which I don't have. So when you start to chase all of these things outside of your people, then the only attitude that you have for your people is disgustingness. You know what I mean? You don't see them as a class act. You don't see them as a hero. You don't see them as a potential business partner. You see them as beneath you. It's because we've been programmed traditionally to chase the European dollar, to chase the European system. One thing that I'll say, and then I'll close on this about why it's important for us to get right and get right now, is because it's hurting my heart to see it. I can go to a place of business and I could see a so-called white person walk in there, and without one of my sisters or brothers even knowing that white person's background, they're going to give them the most beautiful customer service ever. And then as soon as I come behind that individual, now I'm looked up and down. I get the frown. I get the low voice. I don't get the eye contact. And I just think to myself, how have we gotten to this point where you could disregard me as your family and treat me like a complete outsider, but yet you treat this individual as such more, is because you've been programmed to think that they can give you this. Gotta stop.
That's so real.
Facts.
You know, I wanted to touch on my perspective, right, of where I think when it comes to like unifying. And I've been seeing this for the past month now, right? And especially with people my age, right? I'm 22, right? And a lot of the people in my age have this weird perception of exclusivity, like wanting to be exclusive so damn bad. Like they don't want to be a part of nothing that no one else is a part of. Like even with the spiritual movement, they pick a part that they like, and they're like, okay, I'm going to attach myself to this, and everything else I can't rock with because I want to just be unique. I want to be me. You know, everybody's spiritual nowadays. Everybody wants to make their own image. But that's cool because, you know, you're identifying yourself and learning about yourself. But at the same time, when you cut everybody else off, it's eliminating the whole point. The whole point of being spiritual is to enlighten yourself and be able to enlighten others and you know, connect with others. That's the whole point. We're supposed to be breaking the walls of the program that they gave us. But I'm seeing now it's like we'll take on an identity, and then anyone else outside of that identity is just the devil, the demon. Like I know some people that's like they'll look at the old folks and just X them off because of a certain perception of belief that they'll have. Oh, these people believe in this, therefore I cannot associate myself with them. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't even talk to this brother, you don't even see what type of mindset he's on. You just Xing him out. And I'm like, damn, that's a huge problem in the community that we definitely got to deal with. You know, because there ain't gonna be no ability if we don't even want to talk to them. You know. So how y'all feel about that?
Yeah, like I feel like isolation is another thing, and partially that's got to do with technology. People falling out of actually being around people and socializing. People don't have to dedicate their time to people anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like before, saying that you was gonna pull up or do something, like people really meant that. Now it's like I can blow you off and else because there's so many other things that stimulate people. And I also feel like it's because I feel like spirituality is becoming industry, like it's being industrialized. And I see like it's being infiltrated because it's becoming popular. And the best way to tell a lie is to mix it with the truth. So there's gonna be a lot of new leaders that are coming up in this time, in this spiritual and this conscious realm, that appear to be, or you know, may be able to speak good, but they actually aren't putting out this energy. And that's why I feel like there's a lot of dividedness, because it's like you can tell because your drive to work with other people really means a lot when it comes to the community, that organization. If you're not willing, if you can't put aside your beef or you can't put aside your differences to come together for the whole, then none of this shit mean anything, because us by ourselves, we can't do anything. We have to become a unit.
I'm glad you touched on that too with the whole AI thing. Not to defer the conversation too much, but how do y'all feel about this now? Because we in 2023, and it's a lot of new stuff that's coming out now with, you know, the AI. I don't know if y'all know about this software called ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a lot of stuff coming out involving AI, and so I want to know y'all personal thoughts on that. Like moving into this year, we're gonna have a lot of things popping up. It's gonna be like, whoa, okay, this is possible now. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely gonna change the dynamic of us connecting too, because AI is gonna be like that new middleman.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to segue a little bit off of what each of you said. Just starting with what we find in our own communities. And this is something that I've learned personally on my journey. You know, there was a time, it's almost like poetry. I'm a poet. So, you know, there was a time when it was like, man, poetry's dead. There's just no poetry out here. You know, people aren't doing this anymore, and this, that, and the third. And I was into poetry as a child. And one thing I learned is that when you have a belief system, and this goes to spirituality, but also I'm a big science buff, and it's, you know, the functioning of the body and the brain and how we work is really something that you know, fascinates me. We think that our environment and the things around us that are happening to us is just happening to us. Somebody else is doing that to us. And I think that this is our age old. And when I say age old, this goes beyond historical and geographical history. This is our eon and age old personal problem. We've been going through a cyclical, what I would like to call, I mean, it's ultimately self-hate, but I call it oppression, because anything that we think that controls us outside of ourselves is oppression. Now, the thing is, we're free and sovereign beings, but because we don't live that way, and like you talked about traditional, you know, that traditional ideology that we're taught generation after generation, we already come into the world with this mindset that we are not free beings, we are not sovereign beings. And this goes, I mean, this is in family relationships, familial love relationships. We're taught that it's obligatory. This goes into government, goes into religion, this goes all the way down the list. And that's even just from your own home. It doesn't even go into other areas of the world yet. But when you get into, finding that cosmic journey of finding yourself and really sitting with yourself, because you mentioned God, you mentioned isolation, and I feel like in so many ways, because sometimes we get into this journey and we get put into isolation without it even being our intention. And I think that in so many ways that period of time is so deeply important for us, because if we cannot learn ourselves and our own energy, then we cannot understand how we attract the things that we attract around us. And when you, like with poetry, when I shifted that perspective that poetry is dead, I mean, I met tons of people doing poetry, even back to my own home, my own town. I had the first person who got me into sharing online was a high school friend who does poetry on 24/7. That's his career. It's what he does. And, without even knowing it all these years later, he's like, man, you do poetry? I'm like, you do poetry? And he got me into sharing when that was something that was personal. And the world is huge. It's very huge out there. And I think that that's one of the number one things that is a challenge for us, is to believe that which we do not see, and understanding that we are the creators and manifestors of it. And so when we believe that something is not possible, when we believe that something is not happening in the world, we're not going to see the evidence of it. Our brains, literally our computers, they scan for the evidence of the thoughts that we allow to go into our heads. And so when we're hearing the voices of who raised us, the voices of our neighbors, the voices of our friends, and those are the thoughts that are going in our heads, they're literally creating a chemical, and those chemicals, our neuropeptides are traveling those chemicals into our body. Our glands are creating hormones, and we are now putting out a vibration that's attracting an experience to us. And so we're going to experience those things that we believe. But when we say, you know what, maybe it's not dead, maybe there's a lot more of it going on. The world is a lot bigger. I ain't been all over the world.
Right there.
I
See, a lot of us can't do that,
happening everywhere. And so when I start telling myself that 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and now my body is rewiring to a new chemical, to a new thought process, then I start allowing myself to see something different. And now I've interjected myself into a poetry world that has been there. I didn't see the evidence of it. And I think that's what spirituality is. Well, a lot of us come into this knowledge and we think that it's new, and it's not new. It's very, very, it's more ancient than anything else. But because we were not exposed to it, we think that it's something new. And sometimes when we get excited about that thing that we learned, that thing that we experienced, we want to go tell everybody. And we're like, hey, man, you got to get to know this. You got to know this. Like, I'm an astrologer. So, of course, I'm going to be like, hey, when's your birthday? What's your sign? You know what I mean? Ooh, yeah. Let me tell you about this. Because that's what fascinates me. But that doesn't mean that astrology is the way that you're going to learn yourself. That doesn't mean.
She's still here?
Can you see me?
Yeah,
I can see me. Okay, I can see you. It was a little towards the end, but yeah. So and I'll shorten it up a little bit, but we don't realize that all things come from the same source. Before all of the division, the original division, I'll say original because this division that we experience today is cyclical. And when we go back before this particular division, there was another division, and then there was another division, and then there was another division, and it started between the dark side of ourselves and the light side of ourselves. It started between our masculine energy and our feminine energy. It started with us. And when we divided parts of ourselves and we repressed things within ourselves, those things show up around us all the time to tell us that. But we don't understand it. And that's why, it really starts at home. It really starts with us understanding that union is within ourselves, and then we cultivate it outside of ourselves. Because I cannot look at you as someone who is limited if I see myself as someone who is unlimited. It is just not possible. And I say that because when you start to exercise that thought process, then you stop believing in things that are limiting, and you stop looking at other people as, oh, you're limited. If they are limited, it's because they choose to be limited. If they're not open to perspective, it's because they choose not to be open to perspective. But I know that you are unlimited because I now view myself as unlimited. And so oftentimes when we're bumping into those things, it is a depiction of a piece of repression within ourselves, or it is a depiction of a piece of limitation within ourselves. And it's a challenge because it takes that. It's like Bruce Lee said,
that's real though,
the art of
that story you was talking about, I don't want to forget that story you just mentioned earlier really sparked something in my brain when you was talking about how you were open to that person with the poetry. That right there, that's one of the main problems we have in our community. This is going to segue me right into the next question I have for you all, right? I'm starting with Royal Tree. We're not open to a lot of things, you know? Because we always talk about, okay, you need to be able to learn from your people. But most of the people nowadays, especially people my age, we're not even open to new concepts of thought. We're not open to talking to our brother, talking to our sister. We're not even open to that. And this is my question, because I want to ask y'all, personally, what questions do you have for the community? Personally, like right now on this panel, I want each and every one of y'all to ask a question to the community. Because you personally are. So I'm gonna start. Why are we so scared to get out of that comfort zone? Like, why are we so scared to talk to our brother or our sister, to ask them for help, to get out of that egotistical mindset of, oh, they probably not gonna, mess with me, or they probably have some negative time, or they probably don't, you know what I'm saying? I probably can't trust this person. Why are we so scared to do that? That's my honest question to y'all. I'm gonna segue over to Royal Tree. What's your question to the community?
My question would kind of be similar to that. Like, what are you thinking when you stop yourself? It's because my reason for not talking to you is me. My reason for not talking to you don't have anything to do with the dark side, don't have anything to do with the crater about to smack Earth. My reason for not talking to you is me. So my question to you is, what are you thinking when you choose to stop yourself? Every single thought that I've had, I've created. Oh, I don't think I got enough money. Oh, I don't look the best. Oh, I can't give you what I think you need. But yet again, that's all me stopping from whatever was meant to happen happening. And I think ultimately, when we start to communicate on that, when we start to talk about how many thoughts we have that don't nobody hear, that's completely childish, that's not even grounded or rooted in any truth, when we stop playing like we don't sit in our beds or sit in our quiet places of sanctions and doubt ourselves, then I think the confident level to say, hey, damn, I was just doing that last night, or the confident level to say, you know what, that is right, starts to show itself. Man, I've doubted myself multiple times, not because I don't view myself to be a leader, not because I don't think I hold the ancestral warriorship in my body, but I doubt myself is because I'm almost afraid of what we can accomplish. I haven't seen it done in my time. I haven't seen it done with my generation. And the fearful part is when we do start to do it, oh man, you thought Black Wall Street was an accomplishment. Just wait till you see this generation of thinkers, of philosophers, get out of that doubting mode and start to deal with each other. Man, we gonna be able to create.
How do we get out of that though, bro? How do we get out of that level of doubt? How do we get out of that?
Being truthful. One of the biggest things I do is become comfortable with lying to you. I'll be the first to say that. One of the best things I've created for myself is becoming comfortable with lying to you, right? Let me tell you this. I might have just got through the prior night of bawling my eyes out, right? And I get on the camera the next day and I smile and I give you a beautiful live stream. Do you know how much more powerful that live stream would have been if I would have been completely transparent with you? If I would have still gave you that high frequency message, but if I still would have curved back to my low end of depression, anxiety, I don't know-ism. Those things are real. So when we have this culture where every single person is looking to show you their best, now we conceal this dark and this evil and this ugly thing. And guess what? If you conceal a beast long enough, it's going to break the hell out. And when it break out, you not even going to know what happened because you done come so comfortable with concealing it And I choose to say that it's a lie because anything that you conceal and you don't give to the person that's viewing, in my opinion, is a lie. So when we become comfortable with concealing that beast in, it's because we want to show the better selves of ourselves and of our business. When that energy builds up and it breaks out, now you're looking crazy on social media. Oh, what happened to our good brother? He was just good, now he's crazy. No, he was playing games and he should have been
transparent. Truth and honesty. You know? That's the answer there. Wow. Truth and honesty. We just gotta be upfront with people. And that's another thing that we scared of. We scared of just being upfront with people. Like, just tell me the truth, bro. That's half the time we can't even do that. Okay.
No. I think that, like, also, too, like, just being upfront with people, you know, having that empathy of how you deliver your message. Like, a lot of times we just say exactly what's on our mind and we don't think about the delivery of what we saying. Like, when you get into a conversation with somebody that you feel may be a sensitive subject, reflect on how you would want somebody to approach you about the conversation. Ask yourself, how would I be able to interpret this in a way where I wouldn't be offended? You know what I'm saying? And then, like he was saying too, you know, we afraid of our power. And I feel like it has something to do with our interpretation of God, because a lot of us don't know who we truly are. So we don't know our power. And because we're scared of our power, I think the reason people are scared of their power is because once they realize that they have the ability to control everything, that means that they have to start taking responsibility for the negative shit that's happening in their life. And that's where the confliction becomes, because now I have to be responsible for what I'm thinking. I can't project this energy and blame what's happening to me onto somebody else. And that's a big thing for a lot of people, because a lot of people have this concept in their mind that it's a demon or it's God playing these roles on their life. So they don't feel like they have any control of what's going on. So they just becoming a viewer of their own reality as opposed to the controller. So it's like people have to understand who they really are. And that's where the biggest thing is, like, us coming together is, you know, like Renee said, you know, that isolation is important. Like, you got to have a balance. You can't be too isolated to the point to where you don't understand the outside world, because then when you go back to interact with the outside world, you're going to be drawn down and you're not going to be used to handling that energy. But you do have to find that time of isolation where you can go deep into yourself, because us coming together is going within. It's all of us going within, because that's where we all connected. So once we start understanding our own trauma, start understanding where we need to develop in our health and this and that, collectively, we're going to automatically shift. If we all start focusing on ourselves and building each other, we'll realize that it's in our best interest to help each other. And once we start helping each other, it's just going to be that high frequency. You're just going to start attracting those beings that's on that same page. And so, like, a lot of people talk about there's too much information going out. There's not ever enough information going out, because as far ahead as we are, there's some people that's still at the beginning, that's just learning about chemtrails, that's just learning about religion, that's just learning about all of this. So it's like we thinking in our heads, damn, people are still learning about that, but it's like you got to slow down. And that's how you can become isolated in your own world, thinking that everybody's understanding that where you coming from or what you thinking about, and they don't have the slightest clue what you're talking about. And that's where it come back to empathy, because you got to empathize and say, damn, not everybody know this. You know what I'm saying? This isn't common information. This isn't new information. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's a big part of us coming together, is just, like you said, being transparent and just understanding our power. And understanding
truth, transparency, and empathy as well. Okay. That's a powerful piece. So what about your question, though? What's your honest question to the community?
My honest question is, how are you contributing to our people as a whole? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing to bring wealth to the next black man or black woman? You know what I'm saying? That's in our community. How are you adding value to us as a whole? Because if you're not adding value to us as a whole, you're only hurting yourself. And for people to just reconsider and reflect on everything that they're doing, and is it benefiting us as a whole, or is it working against us as a whole?
Wow. I'm glad you said that, because that's actually one of the stipulations of the CCP. Like, you can't come up here if you ain't doing nothing for the community. Like, that's a wrap. We're not doing that, because a lot of people just like to say stuff and talk about things because it's popular. But if you're not actually contributing to the community, like what Double R be saying, positively contributing. You know what I'm saying? You don't really, you can't be with
Right.
everybody else in the same crowd. You know what I'm saying? We got, that's the part we can do. Got to separate people. There's a lot of fakes and phonies out here that only utilize the spirituality for clout and to get famous, but they're not really living that lifestyle. They're not really trying to help people. You know. So with the CCP, the collective consciousness, I'm looking for conscious brothers and sisters who have platforms, who are trying their best to uplift the people. You know. And so I'm glad you asked that. What are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Are y'all just trying to expose the government all day? Are y'all just trying to show people the negatives of the world? What are you doing? Are you helping people? Or you just want to say stuff?
It's a lot of that going on too. Like, it's one thing, like, obviously all the information isn't going to be positive because it's some bad shit that's going on in the world, but it's like, it's a balance between providing enlightenment and just scaring the shit out of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to add value to what it is you're talking about or whatever it is you posting. For example, if you posting a video about, you know, COVID, let's try to give some ways that we can combat that. Let's start, you know, creating ways to solve the issues, or, you know, providing people with ways that they can fight the vaccine if they already have it, or, you know, providing solutions as opposed to just showing what the problem is.
Couldn't agree more.
Man.
Okay, Renee, what questions do you have for the community?
So I first want to say that you guys are speaking poetry, and I just, you know, these interactions are always very delicious for me, and I love them. So everything y'all are saying is just like, I'm all excited. My little soul, y'all know I call her Eba. She in here excited and tingling and stuff. But my question to everyone would be, if you knew for a fact that you had absolutely no limitations, no barriers, no hindrances, nothing in your way, what would you like to see in your world? What would you like to get done? What would you want to do? And that would be my question. The reason being is because oftentimes we see things from the scope of the problem that we can't even get to the place that we really desire to be. And there's so much that you guys said, and my wheels were turning, but ultimately I'd like to shine the light on this, you know, spiritual warfare and all of these things that we're always talking about, which is manifested in so many different ways. So there's so many different, you know, much like you said, there's an endless amount of information going on, and we are infinite beings. So information and knowledge and wisdom is literally continuity. It does not ever end. Our existence is literally continuity. It does not ever end. But the thing is, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. But the thing is, you know, I consider spiritual warfare, just to put it in a nutshell, as the war with self. You're only ever in a war with yourself. Just like you mentioned earlier, when I have a struggle with something with you, when I'm talking to you and I'm having a struggle with that, that's something going on inside me. It ain't because of you. It ain't because of this over here. It isn't because of that over there. It's because of me allowing this thought in my head to limit me, to say, well, you know, you can't do that. So I doubt myself. And, you know, it's fascinating that you said that, because when I first started to get online, this was how I really understood what self-awareness is and what self-accountability is, because they go hand in hand. When I learned when I became aware of what my life really looked like and where it was coming from, and why I feel the ways that I do, and why my experiences look the ways that they do. You know, of course, we have all these cliche things going on in the spiritual community, and I learned that saying of, you know, what you put out is what you get back. And I couldn't understand, because I'm like, man, I support people. I support my friends. I support my family members. And I don't got people to support me back. They're not giving that back. And a light bulb went off. And it was like, this is not about what you're giving other people. It's about what you're giving yourself. And then I understood that I'm not getting support from other people because I'm not giving it to them. I'm not getting support from other people because I'm not giving it to myself. And if I don't believe that I'm support worthy, I'm not going to bump into people who want to support me. And it was such a light, like, whoa. And so at that moment, I had to decide, am I going to walk this journey by myself without a single soul next to me, because I believe in it so deeply, because I believe in myself so deeply? Or am I going to just not do what I want to do, what brings me that passion, because that traditionally that's not what I was taught was okay. What I was taught was, that's not what I was taught was acceptable, And when I decided that, when I said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and I started hitting that little live button and going on there, and nervously reading for people and not knowing if I was accurate or not, and I started meeting all of you people who support me, who are like, man, Renee, you got it going on, go for it, you can do this. That let's do this together, let's do that together. And I didn't know it until I tried. And so that key thing of being able to put out and give to the community, but also to experience from the community, starts with that war within yourself. It starts with that idea of, if I can view it that way, then I can experience it that way. And if I don't believe that anything's stopping me, then nothing's stopping me. And then when you really internalize it and you feel it in your being, your cracks and crevices, because like you were talking about earlier, that beast will come up out of you, and all those repressed emotions and those things you got hiding up inside of you, they're going to come out. And they can either come out in anger, jealousy, combat, or they can come out in what? Poetry, art, education, teaching, whatever it is that you're passionate about. It's all the same energy. It's just we're transmuting it into a different type of translation, a different type of relationship. It's
You know what I love about what you said, Renee? You know what's so crazy? What's so beautiful about this whole thing? Because I love when you speak. You always raise my consciousness to the next level, right? All of our questions are intertwined with each other. You know how wild that is? Like, if you really think about it. My question was, why are we so scared to communicate with each other and love on each other? You know what I'm saying? And then my question tied into the brother's question is because we're really not honest with each other. We really don't spread that truth. We lie to each other. And then Double R's question ties into because the reason why we lie to each other is because we really don't have nothing to contribute. We're really not giving from an honest place. And then it goes right back into your question because we limit ourselves. You ask the question, what would we do if we didn't have any limitations? Most of us don't even think that because we put limits on ourselves. We think, oh, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that because of this and because of that. So it all ties in. The reason why we're scared to do things and we hate on each other and we lie on each other and we're not really contributing in the most positive way to each other in our community is because we limit ourselves. No matter how smart we think we are, we still have these mental limitations and these spiritual and physical limitations saying to ourselves, I can't do that. I can't build with my brother and my sister. It's not going to work. Trust me, I know. I've tried already. These are limitations we put on ourselves. And it's like, that's just so wild that all our questions tied in like that, I just think that's beautiful. And that really answers the question of why we haven't been unifying. We scared. We're not truthful to ourselves. Therefore, we're not truthful to our brothers and sisters. We're really not contributing anything real to the community. We're just trying to do it for a malicious intent. And that's because we limit ourselves. So I just want to clap it up. All right, man. Dope.
For sure. No, for real, bro.
But now, in closing, I just want to thank all of y'all for coming here. And like the energy y'all giving me is just amazing. I just want to personally thank each and every one of y'all for joining this DCP. And before we close out, though, I have a little quick segment of all y'all talking about some of the announcements y'all personally have and what y'all got going on before we close out. So I'm gonna start. As y'all know, I'm an author. I have the 8 Principles of Clockson, and I'm also turning this into an audio book next week. So y'all gonna be able to listen to this on Audible, Apple Podcasts, all those things. So y'all gonna be able to hear my voice over my book real soon. Y'all stay tuned for that. And that's basically what I got going on. Y'all. I got a lot of new things in the future that I'm going to eventually announce. But this CCP thing, this is here to stay, y'all. I'm going to try to do this at least once a month with powerful people. We're going to have different guests on every month. But I want this movement to represent us coming together. Collective minds, conscious, righteous minds coming together to really spread a message, teach. Because we all know so many different things, so many different facets of knowledge. All the people on here are just brilliant geniuses, and I'm so glad that we were able to actually do this. So that's my message to y'all, and I'm gonna kick it off to Royal Tree, and we're gonna go all the way down, and we're gonna close it out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, brother, for having me on the platform. It was definitely fun. I appreciate the sister and the brother at the bottom. Hey, listen, I don't have much popping off as of yet, but it's a lot of things in store that I do got together. But I do have a closing message, if you don't mind, that I do want to give to the people. So My closing statement is this, right? Apartment building. Apartment building is my goal for the community. Watch this here. I think about the architect that built the apartment building. They built the apartment building with the idea of multiple people living in one unit. They understand that these people might look different in color. They understand that these people might come from different traditions. They even understand that these people might have different preferences. But what makes this apartment building successful is it's built for everybody to live under one roof. Everybody having their own space to flourish and be great. Everybody having their own floor to live out the rest of their years. So I think when we talk about uniting and coming together, it's not about me saying you have to do what I do or she have to believe what I believe. It's about coming together in that apartment building. Hey, I got a floor, you got a floor, she got a floor. And throughout this whole building, we generate wealth for the next and the next and the next. That'll be my closing argument, man. I hope it's received well. True pride.
Facts.
Yeah.
Is it on me? Oh, okay, I didn't know because on my screen I'm at the top. So when he said he was at the top, I'm like, damn, I don't know what order it's in now. So, but yeah, y'all definitely can go check me out on my website, legacytheway.net. I'll put the link in the description or at the bottom. That's where I put all my exclusive content. So where I do my lectures, my presentations. I got a presentation on melanin. I got 2 presentations on words are actually spells, and then I did a presentation recently on water, structure of water, H3O2, the geometry of water. How water can hold memory. I really went deep in there, and that's where a lot of all my content is. I'm trying to get everybody to go over there because it's only certain stuff that I can post on here, and at a certain point, I'm only going to be posting certain things on here because it's just it get deep. So I want y'all to support me on my own platform, and then also too, I got music coming out. I'm doing a tape. I'm not going to tell y'all the name or nothing, but I do got some music on the way.
All right, Renee.
So I have my website, reneeandtune.com. You guys can check it out if you want to get personal tarot readings. The different kinds I offer are listed on there. And I'm also offering astrology natal chart readings. Many of you know I do follow sidereal astrology. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check that out. I also have a link to my poetry book on my website, which you can actually look out for my next poetry book with more recent poetry coming out probably within the next month. And so that's something I'm really excited about. But I want to say thank you to you all for your absolute amazing energy and information. I love the message that you shared about us unifying in that way because that's what I'm all about. I plan on doing a lot of it. Some of you know I made a huge move over the summer, so I'm in a place and I plan on down the line doing a lot of amazing things, and I would love all of you to come here and do some stuff with me. But you know, those are things that'll add up in the coming months. I don't like to put time limit on it because one thing I'm learning is that energy rapidly changes things, physical things, it kind of unexpectedly. So I have to leave you all with something. I'll leave you with this. Push yourself not to be intimidated by the bumps and, and bruises of life, because like Bruce Lee says, when we flow like water, when we, allow ourselves to run with the ebbs and flows, we may bump into a rock or two, but there is a flow that takes us to the thing that we ultimately desire, which I believe is freedom and sovereignty. But it's different for everybody. When we get into each and everybody's goals, it's different for everybody. And there's something about, mastering. This world teaches us to win, but winning is truly mastering the art of dying, mastering the art of losing something and being able to create from that, being able to get back up from that. There's something so enlightening and empowering about that part of you that you haven't explored yet. So if that's a place you haven't explored yet, allow yourself to get into the discomforts of learning those depths of you. And I love you all so much, Fox, and it's always a pleasure. Mwah. Peace and love.
Thank you. That was a beautiful message. Damn, I felt that. Had to let that one sit a little bit. Okay, that was beautiful. Make sure all of y'all on the live right now, go follow them, and make sure when y'all watching this later on, make sure y'all patronize every single person on this panel. Like this was honestly beautiful, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tapping in and coming and joining with me. But yeah, this has been episode 1 of the Collective Consciousness. Peace and love, y'all.